So here is Martha's album. It has poems, ballads, stories, but no mention of Clorion. But it's still a fantastic find. Here's one of the pages. No Aristotle's Clorion, but a hoopoe. The poem, Larkin to a Bird That Haunted the Waters of the Larkin in the Winter, O Melancholy Bird on a Winter's Day, is by Lord Edward Thoreau. Another page, Martha writes, painting is poetry struck mute and dashed upon the ready canvas. And the last line, poetry and the sound of music's varied notes are all divine. This is truly Martha, the artist and the musician. There are many other pages in this book, some of hers, but this book is like an autograph album that we used to hand around to our friends, and they would write something in it. Some people write sonnets, some they don't write roses are red, violets are blue, but there's even a whole ballad on the Divard by Schindler. So it's just chock full of stuff, but everybody else that signs it, there is no name or initials that I'm familiar with. So now we get to the fun stuff. This is a picture from the mansion. It is not by Martha, it is to Martha, and it is signed D. Dale Owen, David Dale Owen to Martha. Now, I told you about the hugging trees, so you really know how my mind works now, right? The first thing I thought about when I saw this picture is here's Martha the filly and all of the Owen boys. There's Robert Dale, Robert Dale, William, Richard, and Owen. I'm sorry, but that's exactly where my mind went. You know what? David Dale was one of the letters I remember reading that he just didn't put up with her very well, and he knew, you know, what she was up to. Now, we get to Mitten, and this is Mitten over here. It's not the original. The original is in David Dale Owen's laboratory. It's in the entryway. The back of the painting, it's another painting on a board like the still life. The back of it says Mitten by Mrs. Chase. Well, I have no idea who Mitten is, but whoever wrote that, Mitten by Mrs. Chase on the back of the painting, knew who Mitten was and knew Mrs. Chase had done it. So that's another mystery to unravel. One day, I was in the laboratory with Jane Owen, and we were looking at this picture, and she said, Linda, do you think that's a male? And I went, no. But then I got to thinking, maybe because during the Thespian Society, males played females, females played males. Martha Chase was in the Thespian Society, but after combing through every record I could find on the Thespian Society, I found nothing with Mitten. So, Mitten is a mystery. Now, if you Google Clorion, you're going to get the anatomical sketches, but you're also going to come up with Zazzle. And on Zazzle, you can actually order a t-shirt with the skeleton of Clorion. You can order posters. You can order address labels. You can order a tie. And I remember showing this to E.B. Munford when I had sent the article in, and he got to see the whole script with lots more pictures, and he looked at some of these pictures and he said, Linda, do you realize medical students wear this stuff? And I said, why not? Why wouldn't medical students wear this stuff? So the article for Clorion was published in the Indiana Magazine of History, June 2013. It'll be online soon because they do publish after a couple of years their articles online. After the first draft was sent to the editor, he wrote to me and said, we want more on the headstrong Mrs. Chase, because I had written a research article of 9 or 10 pages, and Steve McCassin had written a document examiner's report, but they wanted more on Martha Chase. And they said the document examiner could be a footnote Well, they published 6 of the 11 drawings I submitted, and Steve's report was thorough with his illustrations, so I'll believe he really convinced them that it was Martha's handwriting. And when I told Steve he was going to be a footnote, he said, get it published any way they want to do it. So he was happy. One of the things when Steve came to the WMI, or when I called him and he said he wanted to come over and see Martha's letter, I said, what are you going to charge me? And he said, mileage, lunch, and I get to use this in my classes. Worked for me. I was under $100. I did add to the article pertinent information from his report. Now, Steve is also a published author. His book is Speaking as an Expert, and it is a guide for the identification sciences from the laboratory to the courtroom, so he testifies all the time. The National Library of Medicine has changed the information on their website. Instead of saying it's warranted for more research, they write, Linda Warrum, an interpreter for the University of Southern Indiana, Historic New Harmony, has written an article published by the Indiana Magazine of History with the expert help of document examiner Steve McCassin. Warrum has unraveled a mystery that has puzzled researchers for decades, etc., etc. Now, I continue to look for Martha with lots of help. People on Ancestry.com, the database of the Mormon Church, lots of records, but no new finds. I believe she is English, and possibly Thomas Chase crossed the pond and brought back a very young English bride. When Prince Maximilian wintered here in New Harmony in 1832, remember the Bodmer picture at the beginning? He wrote in his journal that he had dinner with Richard Owen and his vivacious, talented English wife. A friend told me the other day, I know where Martha Chase is buried. Well, I bet. I said, where? And the answer was, in the crypt with Thomas Say. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think my guess is that her grave might be out at Rosebank or on the Owen property, or possibly in the Woods Cemetery that is gone today. So before I open this for questions, how many New Harmony graduates do we have in here? Okay, these 4 are for you. All right, this is the 6th annual commencement of New Harmony, May 8, 1888 in the Union Hall. This would be the Opera House. Here is the school board, Corbin, Truscott, Frida Jo, Wheeler, and McCormick. But this is the interesting part. Dr. Richard Owen gives out the diplomas. Grace Golden does the solo. The valedictorian is John Elliott. We have American Women, Love of Nature, Socialism, Art Culture. Kind of sounds like today, doesn't it? The graduates, in the middle there, you're going to see Aline Dale Owen, and that is Kenneth Dale Owen's aunt, and that's the file I found this in, was Aline Owen's file. I just wanted to share it with everybody. Okay, I did find Thomas Chase in Philadelphia in the 1850 census. I also found Thomas's birth in Massachusetts, 1793, so that meant he was 31 years old when he married Martha. In the 1850 census, he's 57, and he has a wife that's 33, so he definitely married younger women, because there's a 24-year difference, and he has several children. So he did other things in Philadelphia. He made a cough syrup, and he continued medical school, and he worked for several different places. But Martha is going to drive me crazy because I've lived with her since 2009, And I've really explored every avenue. And when I published this article, I thought possibly someone would read it and there'd be a connection. Instead, I heard from doctors diagnosing Martha's illness. Alan was one of them that wrote to me. I mean, I got everything from, there's so much iron in Widow Welsh pills that she could have overdosed on iron, mercury from the paints. She's really kind of a person that is well and then real bad and then well again, because she goes to Cincinnati with her husband and she's ill and she comes back and then she's deathly ill. So I don't know what's going on, but here was this young, vivacious woman that came probably in 1827, although Victor Duclos lists her on the Boatload of Knowledge, but nobody else lists the chases on the boatload. But here's this young woman, very young, and she's plunked down here with her husband Thomas, and there are all these men, educated and talented. I think she just has a heyday, but she gets sick and